All right, everyone. Welcome into the stream. We'll reset this thing as soon as I get the score. Cats may win one. (69-67) Cincinnati, minute 41 left. We're going into the break after Joe Toussaint. Is that the same Joe Toussaint that played for Iowa like 3 years before COVID? Probably. Played at West Virginia, too. 69-67. Cats have played good. Not many complaints. There were some complaints when Victor Locken was trotting out there instead of Dan Skillings. We'll get into that in just a little bit. Again, Wes continues to stick with his guys that the stat sheet say he should stick with instead of what our eyeballs are saying, and that was Victor Locken is in a huge funk right now and probably shouldn't have been getting many minutes aside from spelling Dan and not the other way around. But we'll worry about criticism in a little. We got a game to close out. Day Thomas free throw line, 69-67. First one is good. Cats from the free throw line today. It was perfect last time I checked. 10 of 10. Okay. 70-67. And 71-67. Minute 41 to go. Bear with me. Running graphics, running the stream, doing everything. Nick Kirby has a night off for once, although he's probably going to pop up in the chat at some point. But we're going Jackie Moon. Texas Tech's got it. Under 90 seconds to go. This would be a massive quad one, season-changing win, and they call a foul. Nice little curl to the bucket play by Texas Tech. Dan Skillings got him on the arm. Tech's going to the free throw line, down 4, a minute 19 to go. And I cannot do overtime, by the way. Buckle up. Houdini will join me from his lovely estate in Covington, Kentucky. He's watching the end of the game at a bar, and then he's going to sprint home and be ready in time for this show. Or so he says. He may already be home setting up the stream. Got it. It's a 3-point game. Second free throw coming for Texas Tech. Minute 19 to go. Close them out, Wes. Close them out, fellas. 71-69. Cats have it. They need a bucket. Under 75 seconds to go in beautiful Lubbock, Texas. Cats trying to escape with a victory. Thomas, Skillings, 3 left wing. Off the mark again. Cats are shooting threes. With 20 on the shot clock, too. Isaac's probing. He's been great. All right, 50 seconds left. Texas Tech resets from the top of the key. Timeout. They have it down 2. Bearcats need a stop. I mean, this is fun in a way. It's been competitive every single game in the Big 12. Down to the final 2 minutes. I'd say Kansas wasn't that competitive late. And then Oklahoma never really felt like the Cats were going to win. Aside from that, every single game, we've been doing these streams, and it has been a barn burner, to say the least. All right, let's update the score. 71-69. My initial takes, Simas Lukosius has hit some big shots. He has 4 threes in the game. A lot of them came down the stretch. He's got 14 to lead the way for Cincinnati. Co-leader, I should say, with Dan Skillings, who came off the bench, is Victor Locken, was shifted back into the starting lineup, and Skillings, 6 of 14. Just missed that big 3, though, that would have really iced it on the road. If you're not as new to the postgame show, we go live as soon as this thing ends. I welcome in my co-host. We have a word or two, and then we fire up the show and get right into it. The full thing drops on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google, that sort of thing tomorrow morning. So if you only hop in for a bit, get some words in, chirp to some people in the chat, give your thoughts, and then dip, the entire thing will be waiting for you. Not even tomorrow morning, later tonight. 71-69, Texas Tech has the ball. Please do not let Pop Isaacs pop one off. Isaacs, Day guarding, top of the key. Someone. I like Newman. Isaacs with Day on him. Don't foul. Isaacs got it. Good God. 72-71, Texas Tech, 30 seconds. All right, let's see what West dials up. Seamoss probing, pulls up, got it from the elbow. Cincinnati 73, Texas Tech 72, 20 seconds left. Oh, damn it, I spilled. Oh, no. Oh, God. This is a travesty, a hazard. My equipment's going to break, folks. I got to... Bearcats rebound, up ahead. Newman dribbling it out. 3, 2. Why'd he lay it in? 75-72. Isaacs from half court. Missed it. Bearcats win on the road. I have an absolute hazard here, folks. I don't know if you could see. We spilled. It's going everywhere. We'll wait for Houdini to pop up, but I got to clean this. This is some expensive equipment. Bearcats win, folks. Quick. That's a disaster. What am I doing? Houdini, this is a travesty. Hold on. Woo! Woo-hoo-hoo! All right, hold on. Houdini, what's up? We're going to do that intro again in a second. I need a final score. Bearcats win 75-72. Please, take the floor for me. I spilled beer everywhere. It's about to break my laptop. It's about to break my stream deck. For the brand, man, this is way on brand. This is how the Bearcats do it. They give us a panic attack, and the host can't get their shit together. We're hitting final. It's updated. Give me an opening thought, then we'll run that intro again and start this show.
Opening thought, UC is fucking back. We lost a terrible one on the road to West Virginia. What do? We go right to Texas Tech, one of the hardest places to play. Stadium was electric, and we come out with a W, and we, against all odds, if you watched every game this year, that's a game that we lose every time by about 3 points. And they pulled it out. And you got to give Seamoss his flowers because that last shot that he hit, fantastic. Yeah, the jerseys look nice. We got the best jerseys in basketball, man. It was beautiful. I'm ecstatic. I'm a happy guy.
Dude, I barely even got to see the finish, so you're going to have to recap it. I mean, I was going with the play-by-play as the beer was spilling all over my mixer and laptop and stream deck. I mean, we're talking, at this point, the mixer's about 5 years old, but $200 mixer, $1,000 laptop and a stream deck that's a couple hundred. We almost lost about $1,500 pounding the table after Pop Isaacs hit that three. But Seamoss Lukosius clutch. I'm going to ask you what John Newman was doing there at the end. Maybe there was some strategy there. I don't know what it was. But let's run this intro one more time for you, folks. Chatterbox Bearcats, after Cincinnati gets the win 75-72, fully back. Let's do it, Houdini. Let's do it, baby. Let's go. We always say it, Houdini. We say, can we have one nice night? On a Saturday, when we're in the game every single time, can the Bearcats close one out? And they do. Wes Miller calls a timeout with about 4 minutes to go, and we saw a Bearcats team that was the hungrier team on the road. They close it out 75-72. Let's update this score real time for everyone on YouTube as the Bearcats improve to 15-7 overall. 4-5 in the Big 12. And you know what I'm doing right out of the gate, folks. We were planning on doing it against West Virginia. This is so much sweeter. This is a way bigger win than West Virginia was a loss. Cincinnati on the road in Lubbock, Texas. Are we believers, folks? Let me give you a few of these. Batista with the catch! Ha ha! And the slipper still fits. Seabass for 3. It's good! Cincinnati, man. How about it? What a Saturday. Welcome to everyone in the chat room. Bearcats with a big-time 75-72 win. Let's start with the Cardiac Cats, who once again play in a game that ends in the final possessions. Cincinnati hasn't been blown out. They haven't been blowing anyone out. There's been no Sage Tolentino watch, to say the least, because it's been like this every single game in Big 12 play, minus Central Florida and BYU, where the Bearcats snuck out with a double-digit victory.
We're road dogs, Chuck. We are road dogs. I think the final stat is we are, I think, 4-0 against the spread on the road in the Big 12 and 0-3 at home against the spread. We love playing on the road. That's we were born into it. It's like Bane and Batman, man. We love playing. Texas Tech, Kansas. We just saw Kansas blow the doors off of Houston. Everything's in front of us now again. Like I said on last show, after losing that West Virginia game, very bad loss. You beat Texas Tech, everything is back in front of you, right? And they battled, and offensively they looked fine. Like, this was one of the most efficient offensive nights that we've seen in a long time, which was nice to see. Like, some balls going in the damn hoop. Defensively are always there, but that was awesome, man. That was fucking awesome.
In Texas Tech, when you think about the Red Raiders, you think of that grinded-out team that's always going to play you tough defensively, that's going to get boards inside. Again, Cincinnati 39 on the glass, Texas Tech 35. I had so much complaints through the first 2 Wes Miller seasons and really the entire John Brannon era. Really, the entire post-Cronin mortem, everything we've been dealing with. One thing that's been an issue is just being physical with some of the teams in the American. I mean, it was Memphis and it was Houston just consistently dominating the glass. And now it's Cincinnati who continuously takes that stat in every single game this season. But one thing I wanted to get to right out of the gate, this will kind of tee it up for you.
Damn, Daniel. Damn, Daniel. Damn, Daniel. Damn, Daniel. Back at it again with the white.
Back at it again with the white Jordans. Dan Skillings, man. Tom Crean called him NBA Dan in this one. I think we're going to get into the best of Tom Crean-isms in a minute, because Tom Crean, man, he's like the Tony Romo of collegiate basketball, just talking over his play-by-play broadcaster the entire time. Now, this is what they need to do here. Azizi's going to pop it. It's just like, easy, Tom. He said, he's an NBA player, another best of Tom Crean in this one. Victor Locken looks like he's playing his first basketball game ever. That was a little harsh. He said that. Compared Day Thomas to Yogi Ferrell. Just good stuff throughout from Tom Crean. The best thing he said was Dan Skillings is an NBA-type talent. I agree. Is it time to run this guy 35 minutes a game and stop messing around with this too-big lineup?
Absolutely. I think we saw it. We've been saying this from like almost day one, that it's very tough to have 2 bigs in there when one of them has no chance of shooting a 3 and making it under any circumstance. And I'm not confident in Victor Locken hitting 3s, as we've seen recently. So going small and playing Skillings at the 4 is money. It's money. We've seen it. We saw it tonight. And I don't necessarily think that we need to put Skillings in the starting lineup, Chuck. Don't get me wrong. He's clearly one of our best players, but I don't mind him coming off the bench and giving that second unit a little bump up as far as production, because he is, even when he doesn't perform well, he's attacks the glass like almost nobody else. And got to give our shout out to Aziz Bandago, because he was an animal on the glass, man. He was fantastic. I think he finished 10-10, double. That if you get 10 and 7 and 8, whatever, from Aziz Bandago, we're winning basketball games.
Let's run through the box score. 16 points for Simas Lukosius to lead the way. Just hit big shot after big shot down the stretch. 4 threes in the game. many of them in crunch time. And then what decided the game, a little elbow jumper with about 20 seconds left after Pop Isaacs, who was great, of Texas Tech, knocked down a big-time three. I'm sitting here pounding the table. Actually, for those of you that are going to be listening to the show in the morning, the beer spilled everywhere. I had opened a can, pounded the table really hard. Here's that insert Nat Pop. You'll hear it tomorrow. And then the beer just spilled everywhere. I was running upstairs, had the ending on my phone. It was a train wreck of an ending for me. For the Bearcats, it was finally not a train wreck. They get one down the stretch. Wes Miller with a great inbounds play out of a timeout to make it 61-60, where they got a wide-open layup. Then Newman gets a great look to put the Cats up one with 4 minutes to go. After that, it was a corner three-pointer. Then from there, it was just kind of back-and-forth basketball. Cincinnati gets the last laugh, man. The Bearcats roulette, though, I want to talk about it again. Because right now, we're seeing – I'll let you respond to that. What's up?
No, I do want to say, though, for all the people that when West didn't call the timeout the other game with like 30 seconds left, he did the same thing again. And everyone wants to do the – Monday morning quarterback thing, and he didn't call timeout as well in this scenario. And I actually like the process of not calling the timeout, not letting the defense get set up, and it worked out today. So I want to give a little bit of a credit to Wes and not freaking out over one time that it didn't work out for him and actually letting the game play out. And we got a good look, and Seamoss drilled it, and he had a great game. He did have 5 turnovers, but I just wanted to make sure that because if he doesn't hit that shot, everyone goes nuts, right? They go, why the hell didn't Wes call the timeout? Yada, yada, yada. Hindsight's 20/20. We all know that, and it worked out for us. So get back to your roulette, Chuck.
Well, the 16 for Seamoss, the 14 for Dan Skillings. Jizzle James had 7 off the bench, 4 off the bench for Jameel Reynolds. That's 25 points of their 75. So a third of Cincinnati's points, 33.33% of their points come off the bench in this game. They shoot 44% from the floor, 7 of 20 from deep. The starting lineup, you mentioned Bandego, 10-10, Victor Locken, 4-4, Newman, 11-5, Day Thomas with the 9 points, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds, and then Seamoss with the 16 points to lead the way. But yeah, the Bearcats roulette, man. We spin the wheel every night. A lot of times we get the losses. We're pulling out our hair asking Wes why he's playing this lineup in that lineup. Today, the Bearcat roulette spun and it landed on the black. We said we want black in Lubbock, Texas, and we got the black. Although there were some times where I was questioning some of the lineups. The one that I really like, Day, Jizzle, and we don't see it ever. So I don't know why I like it. I'd like to see it. Let's put it that way. Day, Jizzle, John, Dan, Aziz. Those 5. Throw Dan in there at the 4. He's just a monster on the glass, game in and game out. And then a little bit less of Victor Locken right now. And I know he's been your best player for the majority of this season. He's had a tough 2-week stretch. And until he figures it out, you sit his ass on the pine. You have other players. That's the nice thing about having a team. This is a team. You play who's playing the best basketball. And for the second straight game, it was not Victor Locken. That's just my takeaway.
No, 100%. It's a meritocracy over here at UC Hoops, man. And it's nice to have the option to play. We have 3 legitimate bigs, Jameel Reynolds, Victor Locken, and Aziz, right? And I think where Wes sometimes gets in trouble is he's too loyal to his guys. We mentioned on the last one where he last game, Victor had nothing. And we were playing him down the stretch in the most pivotal moments of the game. You got to read the room and see who's playing well in that game. And Victor Locken hasn't done it in the last couple of weeks. That could change down the line. But right now, I like the lineup that you just mentioned. And I also I think Jameel Reynolds he had 4 points and 3 rebounds today, right? I love him as an option to come in. He's the biggest damn dude I've ever seen. Okay, straight up. The guy's massive. He can play with anybody. I like him coming off as a rotation guy. And Wes really just needs to figure out his lineup and what's working in the game. And he figured it out today. I mean, he had a couple lineups where I didn't love, but overall, I think he did a great job.
Let's go around the Big 12, and let's start kind of with the tiers. This is the most confusing thing I've seen in quite some time. The Big 12 Conference. Extremely confusing. You have the cream of the crop, which can change day in and day out. But I think it's safe to say Houston, Kansas, Iowa State, and Baylor. Then you have teams that could be 4 seeds, they could be 11 seeds, they could be on the bubble. It'll be told over the next month and a half or so. You have no idea right now. Month and a half. Forget that. About a month and 5 days. We're getting close to the end of this thing, folks. Buckle up. But yeah, those teams, Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas State, Cincinnati, Texas Tech, TCU, BYU. Pretty tough to say right now who are the best teams in this league. I think it's safe to say that West Virginia and Oklahoma State are kind of on that bottom tier. And even then, they can sneak up on beat some teams. Oklahoma State beat Kansas State today. We'll get into that in just a second. And then I think UCF's kind of on a tier below everyone too. They'll win some home games here and there, but you don't expect UCF to win really any games on the road in this conference for the most part.
Well, Chuck, regardless of what you think about UCF, they're technically a quad 1 on the road. If we beat UCF, it's a quad 1 win. And that ain't going to be an easy task at all. I already DM'd Lenardi. I said, get us off the bubble right now, you dumbass, after this win against Texas Tech. So he already
go back to your bunker boy.
Yeah, he responded. He said, I apologize. You're 100% right. I just saw the end of the game. He goes, I'm bumping him up to about a 6 seed. So we're in good shape with Lenardi. But we have, I think, 3 schedule-wise. I know we're probably going to get into this, but we got Houston on Saturday. I don't hate let's storm the court against Houston and Iowa State, win or lose. So we got Houston at home on Saturday, and then Iowa State, who is number 12 in the country. Houston just got the brakes beat off them at Kansas. And then we got Iowa State and then UCF. So a lot of potential right now. As far as if we play like we did tonight, we can win all those games right there.
Running through the Big 12, number 22, BYU wins on the road at West Virginia, 86-73. Seemed like a score that Cincinnati should have had in that one, about a 13-point win. BYU handles business. Cincinnati takes down Texas Tech, 75-72. UCF with a little stunner at home over Oklahoma, a stunner to some, 74-63. The Knights take down the Sooners. Kansas demolishes Houston, 78-65. You don't mess with Kansas at the Fog, folks. Oklahoma State, the upset of the day, they take down a bubble watch team in Kansas State, 75-72. Does that help Cincinnati or does it hurt Cincinnati since they still have to play Kansas State? I think it helps them. Get some of these teams off the bubble. Texas, 77, TCU, 66, and then Baylor and Iowa State in action right now. Baylor and Iowa State, both 2 teams that I said are the cream of the crop in this conference. Baylor has a little 3-point lead early. When you look at the Big 12 and some of the tiers that I gave you earlier, is that fair? Is Oklahoma State, are we giving them too much credit for being cream of the crop, and instead you put in a team like Texas Tech? Where do we stand with this conference right now? It is extremely confusing.
Well, you just said Oklahoma State, cream of the crop, Chuck. So I'm just going to assume that was a mistake because
did I say that? No, I didn't. I didn't say that.
You literally,
no, I didn't say that.
You said Oklahoma State.
No, I'll throw it back up.
Crop?
Do you see Oklahoma State? No, that's Oklahoma, bub.
It's what Oklahoma, you said, bub. Chuck.
I didn't say it. We'll replay the tape in the morning.
It's fine. You had too many cocktails. It's fine. Are you referring to
spilled my entire cocktail.
Are you referring? Who are you claiming is cream of the crop? Oklahoma or Oklahoma State?
No. Oklahoma's in that 4 to 11 / bubble range. The 4 teams that are cream of the crop.
Houston, Kansas, Iowa State, and Baylor. I would throw Texas Tech in there as well. I think Texas Tech is a good team. I think UC just matches up very well with them. I mean, when you look at the standings, you got a tie right now: Iowa State, Kansas, Houston, and then Texas Tech is a half game back. I think Kansas and Houston are the top teams in the conference, and Iowa State is dangerous. Like that's one of those teams that I watched like one of their games, and I immediately just go, that's a Final Four team. Like my bracket will just have Iowa State in the Final Four. Kind of like if you watch like a I watched Wright State like a month ago, and I'm like, they're going to the Sweet 16 in my bracket. I watched one game, Sweet 16, those guys can shoot. But yeah, I think Houston, Kansas, Iowa State, and Tech are the cream of the crop. But then you got, which is just insane about this conference, then you got Baylor, TCU, BYU, Texas, Oklahoma that are below that. And Texas just had a great road win against TCU. So it's really, I mean, it almost doesn't matter what the hell we think. Like check in with me in 3 weeks, and then we'll see who really is the cream of the crop.
All right, Houdini, we're going to ask the audience and a Retro's Modern Life, who we've yet to see in the chat this season. And welcome, Retro's Modern Life, and welcome everyone that have yet to see a show this season. Sorry for the technical difficulty at the beginning caused by the spilled shock top. Retro's Modern Life says, you definitely just said that. So apparently I did say Oklahoma State's cream of the crop. We'll run with it. They beat Kansas State today. Pokes are coming, baby. Pokes are coming.
Yeah, I mean, Oklahoma State, don't sleep on them. I mean, granted, they've lost more games than they've won, but apparently in Chuck's mind, they are one of the best teams of the Big 12. It is what it is. And Elliott said that Chuck and Houdini are hot men. Yes. And the Bearcats are back. Yes, two true things. So thank you so much for joining the chat. And one thing we didn't talk about that the chat has been mentioned a little bit here, 10 for 10 from the free throw line, man. That's a big – I know it's only 10 shots, but we needed all 10 of them, and we got to give credit because we've been shitting on them for not being able to make a free throw to save their lives. So that ended up coming up clutch for us.
Some more Creenisms that he had. He was coming hard at Seamus Lukosius. There was one play where Seamus didn't get his hand up, and Pop Isaacs was just like, oh, you're not going to put your hand up? Bang! Knocks down a quick three, and Tom Crean essentially said through words that did not say this whatsoever, but my takeaway was he wouldn't be recruiting Seamus Lukosius with Tom Crean. He would not be recruiting Victor Locken. He had some bad things to say about their games at times, but it was Seamus at the end of the day who saves this thing, and that's what's so unique about this Cincinnati team. We haven't really seen it in, I'd say, 7 or 8 years. Last time we saw a team like this was when Jacob Evans could go off one night, Troy Copain could go off another, Gary Clark could go off another, Kyle Washington could put up 15, 20 points. There were, all those different guys in back-to-back years, because even the other Cronin teams, for the most part, it was like 3 guys that would beat you consistently. You weren't getting 18 from Gelon Gwynn, Jermaine Sanders, or any of those guys. And then with Wes's last couple teams, it was Nolly, it was DeJulius, it was, a couple of years of Davenport lighting up the scorebook. But aside from that, you didn't have this roulette, as we were saying, where it's like Seamus can be bad for 15 straight minutes and then knock down the 2 biggest shots of the game. I think the most consistent players on this team, John Newman, seemingly day in and day out, you have to leave him on the floor at all times. Dan's been inconsistent in some games, but since Big 12 play started, take out Oklahoma, he's been pretty damn consistent. You got to leave him on the floor at all times. And then Aziz, man, what the offense isn't there by any means. When we watched him last year against Utah Valley, it looked like he had some post moves. He was taking Victor and Odie to the shed. Not this year. He's not really taking many defenders to the shed, but he finishes the oop. You get him a good look down low. He's going to slam it home at all times, and he just grabs rebounds. 10 and 10 for Aziz Bandago today. Who am I missing? Who are we missing on the shout-outs today? Who played well that I'm not giving credit to? Jizzle James. Jizzle James, man. We said at the beginning of the year, he's as talented as anyone on this team. Since Big 12 play has started, he's not been great. And there have been times where some of those fadeaways that he tried earlier in the year and was sinking early in the year, he couldn't even get those plays off just because the length and the speed and the strength of other teams. But today, man, the turnaround was there, hit a big-time 3, doesn't turn the ball over really ever, and that is why I say play him and Day-Day at the same time some more. I mean, more than 1 minute every 2 games. Play him.
No, absolutely, and especially what we've been seeing from Victor Locken as of late. Victor Locken just hasn't been there, and like I said, that could change. But right now, no, Jizzle James, I think really the biggest detriment to him is that he doesn't get enough time on the floor. It's really tough when you play a guy 10 minutes to get into a rhythm and start knocking down shots. But, like, he has clearly the potential and the athleticism to get, even when he can't get space, he does it with his body and that fadeaway jumper that I actually – the one thing that I question with him is when the three-point shot. I know I think he made what? He made 1 out of 2 tonight. But some of those shots that he shoots with 55.
They hit the
feet
rim
of
hard,
space.
man. They hit the rim hard.
It's like, oh my God. You're like, you think that you got hit by like a fucking bullet. You're like, oh my God, somebody just got knocked out. That's the one thing I think he can improve on. But no, I think just the more time we can give Jizzle on the floor is going to just benefit us astronomically moving forward, because he's a player, dude. Him and Day-Day at the same time, I think, is something that Wes is slowly starting to do, and we need to see more and more of it as the year progresses. And I think he's doing it. I wish it was at a faster pace, though.
Up next for Cincinnati on Saturday, 4 o'clock, the Houston Cougars. We said after West Virginia that a loss like that is a big hit to your tournament hopes, specifically because they hadn't had one yet. But this team has big wins now. TCU at home's not bad. On the road at BYU, with the way BYU continues to win games and hover around 500 in the Big 12, which is great, that's a big-time win. Central Florida, you'll take that, you know. And then now you add in a road win at Texas Tech, your most impressive win of the season, a team that's fighting to potentially win this conference. You beat them on their home floor. Hell, I believe, man. Why not? It's been a minute since the Cats have stacked up to Houston, but they're inching a little bit closer, you know? The John Brannon teams, they'd lose by 60. The last game Brannon ever coached for Cincinnati, pretty sure he was in the tunnel with 15 seconds to go. Mike Adams-Woods looking around like, Coach, where are you? We need you. Come on, console us. We just lost by 70. And the Cats have lost by 70 many times to Houston. Obviously, hyperbole. It was more like 26. But they're not covering many spreads against this team.
I think it might have been 70.
It may have been. Last year, they kind of flipped the corner where it was like, all right, we were still losing to this team, but we went up by like 10 on them and almost closed it out in Houston. Played better against them at home. So, I mean, I guess the tide is turning ever so slightly. Do the Bearcats have a chance in this game? Any reason to think that Cincinnati won't be only like 2.5 or 3 point underdogs?
If you don't think UC has a chance in this game, then you're a complete asshole, because they have played they played Kansas on the road within 5 points. We just saw Houston get demolished on the road at Kansas. The one thing I won't do, this UC team has been a roller coaster, like we said. It's like you're on the Son of Beast almost, and it's up and down, and it's brutal sometimes to watch. But the one thing that
they're not
don't
shutting it down,
is
though.
They compete with every team. Like, they play up and down in their competition. I would be absolutely shocked if they got the doors blown off them against Houston, and especially watching how Houston could not handle Hunter Dickinson and what's his name, the other big dude from Kansas, that I'm starting to think that we need to dominate inside against them. And so I would really like to see Locken get back to form. And like I said, we have plenty of guys. Reynolds getting in there, and Aziz at least fucking blocking shots and, you know, being a rim protector. So I think we absolutely have potential to beat Houston. And I don't know if it's makes any sense to claim, even being a biased UC fan, to claim that UC can't beat anybody that we play, because they've proven that they can do it. If they make any amount of shots and hit free throws, they can win games.
And it's crazy because you called the Cats the Road Warriors, right? We're assassins on the road. We're coming for your dreams, folks. Lubbock, Texas. Enjoy the Waffle House in Lubbock, Texas tonight. We're going to be partying in Cincinnati. Houdini's going to Bogart's tonight. If Bogart's is still even around, he's going to the Mad Frog, because we just want another road game. And to look back at Howard and how bad the Cats looked against Howard, and then how bad they looked against Xavier, and then how atrocious they looked on a neutral floor, I thought we're going to lose every damn road game in the Big 12. They turn around, they beat BYU. They look excellent against Baylor on the road. That may have been one of their better road performances of the year. And then tonight, their best road performance of the year. And they hung around with Kansas on the road. Whereas Texas, team they should have beaten at home, nope. Oklahoma, team that doesn't look like anything special, nope. So they did lose to West Virginia. At the end of the day, it's roll the freaking dice, man. I don't know what to expect. We said before this game the Cats are going to be the hungrier team, because this was win or go home, man. And I know statistically speaking, they had a million chances for good wins, but in today's day and age, the committee loves a team that can beat good teams. They don't want a team that has one decent win in non-conference over Richmond and didn't do anything during their conference play. Won the games they were supposed to win, lost the games they were supposed to lose. No. They want a team for those 8-9 games or that 10-7 game that has shown they have the ability to beat other teams. Cincinnati's starting to pile those wins to the resume. You beat Houston at home. And you know what we're doing, Houdini. You know what we're doing. This is my favorite ever, actually. Lewis, he's been awesome. Let's it fly. Ow! And we're going to overtime in Lexington. Ha ha! That's got to be my favorite. They're like, oh, Justin Dolman's on the ground in tears. Hey, can you tell the people right now while we have them, because we got a crop of Bearcats fans in the chat room, tell them about your AIM story with Justin Dolman back in the day, please.
Oh, man, I'm getting put on the spot. Statute of limitations, I think, are up. We found Justin Dolman's AIM when I was like a fifth grader, and we would just harass him all hours of the night. We just randomly just message him like, "What up, dumbass?" Like, "Hey, Justin, you suck ass." And we'd all just like run away from the computer and be like, "Oh my god, do you think he knows?
He'd block
he knows
you.
who we are?"
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he'd block us. We get another screen name. We'd find him again. So Justin Dolman, if you're in the chat, I do apologize for my behavior about 14 years ago. That would make me 16. About 18 years ago, I was probably 12 or so, and when that happened. And listen, I apologize, but was I wrong, Justin? You guys whooped our ass. I had to do something to come back to you, okay? So shout out Justin Dolman, but the real story, Chuck, is UC, another quad 1W against Texas Tech on the road. We're in great shape, man. If we beat Houston, all bets are off. Final four.
I've been tingling, man. I told you that I did the old 15 minutes of the sauna today, 5 minutes of the cold plunge, what your guy Patrick Coyne told us to do on the Chatter podcast. I did it, and I feel invigorated. I'm shaking a bit. I don't know if it's the hypothermia starting to kick in or if it's the fact that finish was insane, and we finally got one. And in my mind, I was thinking the entire game, this is going to be another just disastrous post-game show where I'm talking about heartbreak, and then it's off to eat 15 pizza rolls and go to bed crying into my pillow. Not tonight, my friends! Victorious. Cats 15-7, 4-5. Schedule looks as such. At Texas Tech, winners! It's Houston at home. It's Iowa State. It's at Central Florida. It's Oklahoma State. That's a 4-game stretch. You'd love to have 3 of 4 there. I don't care who you take the 3 of 4 from. Even if you lose to Oklahoma State and take 3 of 4, that means you pick up wins against Houston and Iowa State. You'll take that any way you cut it. Then it's at TCU, at Houston. Tough 2-game stretch. Kansas State, at Oklahoma, West Virginia. There's no reason to think that Cincinnati can't win about 80% of these games with the way they played tonight, how consistent they've been and at least hanging out in these games all season long. I love it, Houdini. I love it, man. We have serious basketball February 3rd. First time since before the pandemic that Bearcats fans can warm up their hands, turn on a game late night, and get excited about something. Let's go, baby.
You're 100% right, man. And especially the sun came out a little bit today in Cincinnati, man. It was a good day. And the only thing that could have ruined it was UC blowing. I mean, because I really think they controlled the game throughout. Like, if they would have lost that game, it would have been a crime against humanity because they were the better team throughout. And thank God they finished it after that Isaac's bull crap 3 that he threw up. But he did like 3 of those today. I thought we were screwed in the end, but CMOS saved us. It was great, man. I'm excited. Houston on
I like
Saturday,
when the Bearcats run. I don't like how the plays typically end. They should get some good looks in transition, but so many times they try to make the extra pass. There was one, Day fired one cross-court to CMOS, and it again hit that unlucky popcorn vendor in the first row. This team's not excellent in transition. When they are really good, Dan Skillings is usually involved, man. There were a couple bloop passes over the top where Skillings gets it and finishes in transition. He's so smooth, man. I mean, you got to start giving Dan 32, 35 minutes a game and look at this guy as one of the best players on your team. I don't care if he's going Tony Bobbitt coming off the bench, but he's got to be one of your 5 that's out there when it's crunch time. If that means Victor Locken is relegated to the bench, or is it delegated? Relegated? I'm going to go relegated to the bench. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm already 0 for 1 with the Oklahoma State take. But if Victor's relegated to the bench and wait for Dan, I don't care. Play Dan Skillings more. Key takeaway from this one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't give a hell who starts at all. It's about who's getting the majority of the minutes. Dan Skillings, I wish ESPN would figure it out and give me live updates of minutes, because they won't show the minutes until like 8 hours after the game. So otherwise, we need to tell Trace to up the budget and give us like a live update of all the minutes of these players, because I always just have to do it by like feel. I'm like, I feel like Jizzle played no minutes. I feel like Skillings. I was telling you this, Chuck. Coach K used to play guys 40 minutes a game. These dudes they're 19, 20 years old. They can play 40 minutes of college basketball. I promise you. So you don't need to necessarily play like some other guy to sub him in to get a breather. Dan Skillings is an elite athlete. He could play 40, and I don't see any reason why he shouldn't, honestly. Him and a couple other guys on the team.
Not 40. Just give him 40. 30. Give him 35. Give him 35.
Chuck, give him 40. If we go to overtime, give him 50.
Okay. I don't see why not. That'd be double OT, but I get your point there.
Exactly.
That's the key takeaway from today, and that's what a lot of people are saying in the chat right now. For those of you who listen to the podcast in the morning, chat room saying Locken needs to earn his minutes back. I don't know how you feel about that, Houdini. He's had a pretty large sample size of being one of the guys, if not the guy for this team. But in the last 5 games or so, it's shifted. I'm giving you the numbers. How many times do you think he's reached double figures in his last 6 without looking?
2.
I think you probably knew this, because I think 2 sounds about right. The answer's 1. The answer's 1. He scored 11 points against TCU, a game that went into overtime. So forget the overtime there. He hit a big 3 in overtime. He would have been in single digits that game too. He had 7 against Baylor. He had 5 against Oklahoma. He had 7 against Kansas. He had 0 against West Virginia. And he finishes with 4 points, 4 rebounds today. Had a 3-second violation. Backed down a couple times and got stripped for a jump ball, which was a turnover. There was one play where he threw one off the side of the backboard after a decent post move. It was not his night, to say the least. And I think Bearcats fans are fair in questioning whether he should earn his minutes back right now, despite what he's been the last 2.5 years, which is one of the best players on this team and someone that needs to see the floor at all times. You have more players now. When people are out playing them, you got to play those people.
No, I agree. And like I said, we kind of have a riches as far as who we can put in instead of Victor Locken. I don't know if you want to, shake up the locker room too much. I think you still start him and then read the room of how he's playing in that game and go from there. Because, like you said, we've seen Victor Locken in this whole season. We've seen guys. We saw CMOS be absolutely atrocious for stretches, truly awful. And you see a game like tonight, it's like we didn't have CMOS, we're not winning the basketball game. So I'm not going to completely throw a guy under the bus, but I absolutely believe start to slowly drop some of the minutes. If a guy's outplaying him, then he takes the lion's share of the minutes. So I think right now Wes is kind of doing the right thing. He screwed up against West Virginia, playing Locken in the stretch for no apparent reason. But it seems like he's getting a hold of the reins of the rotation a little bit better as we move on.
Retro's Modern Life says I'm 1-1. It is relegated to the bench. Should Victor Locken be right now? That's the big question. Everyone's going to have different takes on it. I know our guy Chad Brendel over at Bearcat Journal. By the way, this was going to be one of the topics on this one. It was going to say Brendel beef ? Here's the deal. I've never met Chad. Very much respect his work, respect the Bearcat Journal as a whole, hop in there to get a lot of my information, built a nice little empire. And quite frankly, my first job out of college, I hit him up to do some work for the Journal, and he said, absolutely, we'd love to have you, whatever. And I ended up moving, and nothing ever panned out, never did anything for them, whatnot. But the other day when Trace and Spurlock were doing their 18 hours, wearing a diaper, trying to finish off whatever the hell game they were playing, Warzone, I don't know, and they finally did it, Chad was in there all night. And I asked him specifically, just because it's, I don't need to ask about Aziz Bandago. I have my own eyes seeing what's going on. I don't need to ask why Vic's playing awful. He has no confidence right now. It's very simple. I asked a question that not a lot of people have an answer to. And I said, my big question tonight, Chad, what the hell is going on with Sage Tolentino? Where does he fit into the mix? What is his future with the Cincinnati Bearcats? We're spending a scholarship on this guy that we'd love having for someone else, and he can't see the floor in any game. Forget Texas Tech. He can't see the floor against Merrimack. What's the future with this guy? And here's where the beef came about. He just responded, if that's your big question, you got bad questions, bub. And I'm like, whoa, easy now, Chad. I just want to know a simple thing, and the chat can help me out here. I mean, my take is he's not going to be on this team next year, right? That's what Chad's implying. He's a nothing burger. But why going into this year was he even on the team? That's what I'm confused about. You brought in a guy like C.J. Frederick that's been hurt often. You brought back a guy like John Newman that's been hurt often. And then you have a scholarship going to someone that, I mean, clearly there was no intentions to ever play the guy. I don't think it's the worst question in the world. I don't know why we're talking about it after a win over Texas Tech, but we've talked about everything else. So let's ask the question.
You're right. Yeah, this is the biggest topic after the Texas Tech win. Sage, what is his future with the UC Bearcats? Fantastic. I'm about to pull a Brendel on you. If that's your question, Chuck, you're an ass. You're a complete jackass. But I will answer it. I think probably he didn't recruit as far as transfer portal guys that were guaranteed to come into this roster, and we had Jamil and Aziz possibly not playing. And I think he thought they were going to play, but as we saw, that wasn't a guarantee.
But even when they weren't playing, Sage wasn't playing.
No, that's fair, but the second a guy gets into foul trouble, a guy fouls out of the game, all of a sudden we have a 7-footer on the bench. He might have to play. So I see why he was on the roster. I do not think he will be part of the team next year. I'm sure he's a good kid, Reading guy, but I do not think he will be part of UC's team next year.
All right, we're losing some people in the chat room. We got a few more minutes to go. Here's what we're going to do. Everyone, there's 52 people on right now. Everyone drop the most random Bearcats player you can think of. I'm going to spit out rapid fire. You're not going to be able to beat me. Houdini, you drop some too. This is going to be like a rap album. In fact, we're going to get some music in the background. Here we go. We're bringing it back. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to start naming names. Everyone, drop them in the chat room. I'll start. We'll go back and forth. Meeker for 3!
Jihad Muhammad.
Roy Bright from the elbow. Knocks it down.
Kyle Washington.
God, you're going way too new. Armin Kirkland. Step back. Oh, and he lost it off his foot. Nick Williams can't corral it. Game over.
Field Williams.
You're going with the basics, baby. Kareem Johnson down low. Passes to Steve Toyloy. Different eras. A time machine, folks.
Tony Bobbitt. Give me Tony Bobbitt all day.
Bobbitt for 3. Let's see what we got in the chat room going on. Bobby Brannon. Oh, muscles down low. Emmanuel McElroy. That's a good one. Keith Legree. Oh, we got big Connor Barwin on the block. Not making sacks, but instead banging down low with Kyle Lowry. Here's a good one.
Don't sleep on Marcus Sykes.
Marcus Sykes. Azgrouni Suleiman. I don't know if that was his name. He never really played. Abdul Herrera. Can I get you with a Hernal Hall? And Adam Rachanyuk. Oh, we're going with some of the big hitters here.
Beautiful.
I think that's how we finish it for sure. We got a Darnell Burton in there. That'll do it. Thank you to everyone for joining the chat room tonight. Big W.
Yeah,
we get a week off.
Coming in, man.
We got a week off. It's get some fresh legs. It's heal up the ribs, John Newman. It's get that hamstring ready to go, C.J. Frederick, because there is a very good chance we're going to see C.J. in uniform against the Houston Cougars. And God bless. I never had any issue with Houston growing up. In fact, aside from Elijah, I can't name a single player that played for Houston from the year 2000 until like Rob Gray. literally that entire decade and a half. And they were in the Conference USA for quite a bit of it, and then in the American for quite a bit of it. Didn't know any of those guys, to say the least. But you know their guys now. You know their guys now. And Jawan Roberts still there. He's a stud. The list goes on and on. It's not Sasser. Who's their point guard nowadays that's just killing it?
What is it, Sneed?
Yeah, it's Sheed.
Whatever the hell his
Shed.
name is.
Jamal Shed.
Sheed. He's a
Jamal
Shed.
Shed. Stud. They got Francis is great. Cryer's a beast.
They're
the
all
list goes
good,
on
man.
and on. I hate that
They're
team,
not better
man.
than us, though.
I hate him. I am so sick of Kelvin Sampson. He just mimicked Mick Cronin. He came in and said, look, we have no shot against this Cincinnati team unless we start playing like them. And he did it a little better than Mick. And now he's got one of the best teams in the country, a team that's a legit favorite to win the national championship. And Cincinnati welcomes them into Fifth Third Arena. That is on Saturday, February 10th. At 4 p.m. Houdini, I know you were hitting the town before this. You came back to do a post-game show. That is dedication. Dedication to everyone in the chat room. One final time. Cheers. Bearcats 75, Texas Tech 72. Biggest win of the season for Cincinnati, joining the likes of BYU and TCU. Not a bad resume we're working with right now, Houdini.
Keep it rolling.
On to Houston.